The following clip is from a previously recorded episode of the Cherish Each Moment podcast.
One last sign of spring for me is daylight savings time. And daylight savings time hit a little harder this time around than previous times. This past week, leading up to daylight savings, my family and I were in California on a little vacation, little family trip. We went to go see my grandma, and we spent a couple days at the beach and a couple days at Disneyland. And we had a great time. Let's just not talk about the gas prices out there. It's unreal. Anyways, California is an hour behind Utah. So we already had an hour that we were losing coming back home to Utah. And then that same weekend, daylight savings swiped another hour away from us. So I'm still recovering from that. Hope to be recovered fully before we have to switch back again. But the good news is, I guess depending on who you ask, it looks like there's a pretty solid chance that we may not have to worry about switching those clocks back and forth for much longer. I know everyone from Arizona is probably laughing at this, wondering what took so long. They've been enjoying standard time for quite a while. Not that I would prefer standard time. I'll talk about that in a second. But for the rest of us, we have something to be excited about. At least I do. I'm not sure about other states, but every time daylight savings comes around, there are always conversations here in Utah about ditching the practice. In fact, the Utah legislature passed a bill about a year or so ago to stay on the daylight time indefinitely. And when they passed that bill, Utah joined 17 other states with the same idea who were waiting for congressional approval. Well, it sounds like Congress wants to go all in on this, and they are proposing to keep daylight savings time as the new standard. The bill started in the Senate, and it passed unanimously, which is pretty great. And so now it goes on to the House, and if they pass it, then it will go to the president's desk. So obviously everyone has their preference on whether they would choose standard time or daylight time. Standard time is what we're on from November to March, and we just switched over to daylight time. So it really just comes down to, do you want more light in the mornings or more light going into the evenings? I'll tell you what, I'm in favor of daylight time because, number one, I don't mind the dark mornings. I'm not a morning person. I never have been. So dark mornings are pretty much irrelevant to me. And the few days during the year that I would get up early in the mornings, it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't bother me. But I prefer longer daylight time later in the day, because most of the time I spend outside is in the evening, and the more daylight I can have in the evening, the easier it is for me to actually get stuff done, especially during the week after I finish working the day job. It really sucks going outside. You get off work, say 5 o'clock. You go outside, it's going to be dark at 6, maybe 6:30. So you're already racing the sunset to get out there, get all your stuff together, figure out what you're going to do it, and get back inside. I don't like to be rushed like that. I just don't. I like to take my time. I like to think things through. I like to actually enjoy it, especially when I'm mowing. Got to cherish it. So having more time in the evenings, I'm totally for it. So I hope this bill passes the House. I hope it goes to the president's desk. I hope it gets made into law. And if you're against the changed daylight time because you prefer standard time, I'm sorry. I feel like no matter which one was chosen, we would all have to adapt, like we've been doing twice a year since the practice was initially instituted back in the day. At least the good news is that we don't have to worry about it anymore going forward. Well, at least once it's implemented, which I believe is going to be fall of next year, 2023. Exciting times. Very exciting times.